a man whose name is literally the bedrock of the proud wrestling tradition of the Texas Panhandle. From the Double Cross Ranch, let's welcome home Terry Funk.
And welcome to It's Still Real to Me with your host, which is me, the Howard Cheney. To my right, we got Mr. Jeremy Johnson. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm good. Woo! Coming to you live from Savannah, Georgia, looking only as I can look.
What's up with the glass?
I'm just trying to be cool. I'm sorry. I can't pull that off well.
And the man that makes it possible, QB1, Randall Cunningham. How's it going, Randy?
Afternoon, everybody. Had a little cut up that I just threw it together, and I got a little more to show later on, but how can you not celebrate the life of Terry Funk today?
Yeah, for the people that hasn't heard, Terry Funk passed away earlier today. One of the true pioneers of wrestling that made hardcore famous, I feel like. And we'll spend a couple minutes on him, but tonight's show is basically going to be around the hugest wrestling show possibly ever coming up this weekend, pay-per-view, as AEW hosts Allin in Wembley Stadium. Over 80,000 tickets have been sold. It is, I think the last I heard, is officially sold out. So before we get started, Jeremy, your thoughts on Terry Funk real quick.
Well, I'm really just glad that we didn't do Terry Funk justice. Just a matter of 6 weeks ago, something like that. But really glad that we have spent the time. And I think, I don't want to repeat things we said a couple of weeks ago, but what a wrestling career! What a innovator, I guess, if you will, for extreme and hardcore wrestling. What a character to reinvent himself as many times as he did during his career. But gosh, we do this all the time, man. It's just sad when you see another one of your childhood heroes or someone you watched long ago. Sad to see them go.
Yes, absolutely. Randy, your thoughts?
Jeremy, I love that tribute. It wasn't perfect that we did a few weeks ago, but I kept pressuring Howie, who hosts this show, to do something, and able to post it to a bunch of Terry Funk sites. And I got a lot of likes from people that were like Funk fans for life, and a couple of last names that said Funk. I don't know if it was family or what, but the fact that we did try to give the roses before he goes makes me feel really good about it,
Yeah.
I don't think we appreciate sitting here today how impactful Terry Funk was in the world of wrestling. That NWA champion during the champion was the true travel the world champion, brother of NWA champion, retired for multiple years after that, feuded with Lawler and some of the best feuds he ever had, came back to wrestling, unretired more and retired more than any wrestler in the history of the world. Terry Funk did. ECW World Heavyweight Champion. Wrestled in the WWF at a real high level. Challenged Hogan for the belt around the whole loop one time, AWA wrestled there, and a living legend in Japan. So, You know, it's not about Terry Funk's tribute tonight. We may do something else, but I did want to announce that after this show, I will be reposting the Terry Funk tribute show that we did and played those 10 bells, man. That's the last thing I'm going to say. We all knew Terry Funk was not long for this earth when we did the tribute, but if one person said that wrestling show up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, they sure love Terry Funk, then that tribute did what I wanted it to do. Because I just wanted to pay respect to one of my idols while I can still pay respect to him.
Yes.
Yeah, me and you talked a little bit earlier today, Randy, about this. You know, he's 78, 79 years old.
Yeah.
Everything that he went through, he's lucky to be able to stick.
Yeah, that's a testament to how tough he really was, and for him to have that kind of longevity, especially the way he beat his body up, for sure.
You know, Jeremy, I told Howard, I in my phone right now is probably 50 wrestling clips, and it's stuff. I have a bad day, I might go to the parking lot and listen to a Ric Flair promo.
I've done it. It works too.
And I told Howie, I said, I'm gonna go put my best Terry Funk stuff up for us to do a little something when we come on. And I was like, everything that I had in my phone was so over the edge that I was just finally like, well, I'm gonna, because that one says, I love that intro, the heart of Panhandle Wrestling from the Double Branch, and I couldn't find anything that I had that said from the Double Cross Ranch, and his name is synonymous with the Double Cross Ranch, and you know, I don't know that there's more famous of an entrance city than from Double Cross Ranch. It may be the most famous city in America. I mean, in a wrestling announcement.
Yeah. One quick thought before we change over. Is he one of the only ones that held a title in all the major wrestling federations except for, of course, AEW, but it just got started 3 years ago?
So I tried to figure this out today, and I know he held the AWA Southern Heavyweight title when he's doing all that feuding with Lawler, held the NWA World Championship and the ECW World Championship. I want to say in my head, him and Cactus Jack was the WWEF tag team champions at some point.
I think they were, yes.
If that's true, and we could probably found it with Wicca, didn't even think about it. I know, I don't know for sure he held a title in AWA, but I want to say that Jerry Lawler AWA Southern Heavyweight Championship he did. That's true. I can't think of a handful of people that done that. Maybe Dusty Rhodes or somebody like that, but yeah, not many people. I can't think of anybody other than him that was a traveling NWA champion and an ECW champion. That's rare air right there.
Yes, it is.
So he was all around the world, and you know, especially Japan, well loved, well known over there. And you know, rest in peace, Terry Funk. We will come back and do a something later on here in the next month. Within the next month, we'll put it like that.
Yeah, well, we got a good tribute that we're going to post tonight too. I'm proud of that show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So before we get started, Randy, would you pull up our sponsor real quick? We have, I didn't mean to catch you in the middle of a drink, but we've kind of neglected it over the week or two there. So let's pull our sponsor up real quick if we could and get him some advertisement here. Then maybe again toward the end of the show. Wilbur's Waxing Solution. Give them a call, licensed and insured. Call for free estimates, 256-996-9731. They'll wax anything big and small, long hallways to they did a big corporation in Fort Payne just this past weekend. So Wilbur's Wax Solution, give them a call. Tell them we sent you. Now to our show. It's going to be the All-In AEW pay-per-view this weekend in Wembley, London, England. 80,000 strong is what the numbers is coming out. One of the biggest wrestling shows to ever hit. Guys, what's your thoughts on it before we start the matches?
Well, first of all, I mean, they sold the majority of those tickets without a complete card. So that
Well,
should tell you,
actually, to this point right now, that it's still not a complete card.
yeah. So you got to think about it this way: how um, how hungry, I guess, maybe the right word. How hungry is England for AEW wrestling? So for them to sell that number of tickets without a card, without any idea, matter of fact,
Right.
of who would be facing off, that's unbelievable. The skeptics at the beginning, I don't think that if they sell half of it, or they're going to cut the stadium in half. They didn't have to. It's going to be a full house. You guys know this very well. Crowds make for a great pay-per-view event on TV, on if you're watching it, uh, watching the pay-per-view. Crowds make the
60,000 strong before the first match was ever made.
Yeah.
Randy, your thoughts real quick.
There's two things that I think of. One, Tony Khan's a genius. People can criticize him, but he has a real knack of perfect timing. I mean, he just kind of can read the landscape and say, time to go here. I know it's much overlooked, but they started doing house shows, and if you look at the number, large portion of those house shows are sold out. The one we were at in Huntsville, 95% of the seats full. Over the weekend, they were 98% capacity on both of their house shows. So I think it's good for the sport that some can throw a little fear into the WWE. The one thing I thought it was hilarious that Triple H chose this week to call them a minor promotion in that Cody Rhodes documentary. So I think this is good for the sport. I think there's going to be a lot of people picking up big paychecks this week too. So that's always good for the sport too. And I don't know where JJ went. JJ, you still there?
Looked like he's stepped away for a second.
Yeah. Well, while he's getting back on, Howie, I don't know if it was England is wrestling crazy. There's a lot of talk about special guests and stuff. I don't know if y'all remember him, Grado from the TNA days, is the biggest wrestling star in England and on the indie scene, and regularly fills up 5,000 seat arenas. He also uses a Madonna song as an entrance music. If you've never seen Grado and the Grado entrance in England, it is over the top. I'm not going to be shocked if we see Grado appear at this show. I'm not being at all shocked.
This could be the start of their WrestleMania big event once a year. And they want to send out all the bells and whistles they can on this first show, of course. Audio only for Graduate of Funk U, which is Mr. Cunningham stepped away for a second, but he can still hear us, and he's going to talk as well. So
I'm still here, guys. Nobody wanted me to see me pick a piece of hamburger out of my teeth, and that's what I'm doing currently.
Yeah, boy.
So we'll go ahead and get started on. And I was talking to Randy about this earlier. I do not like this pre-show match that they've got but we got to start with it. It's going to be the Aussie Open against MJF and Adam Cole for the ROH World Tag Team Championships. What's y'all's thoughts on this? Randy, start with you.
Listen, this could either be lazy booking or it could be brilliant. Let me tell you how it's brilliant. They don't turn each other on each other and win the ROH Tag Team Championship. Lazy booking would be MJF to finally turn on Adam Cole in this match. The big odds actually has Aussie Open as the favorite. So I think most people are expecting Aussie Open to win the mountain match. I'm going to go ahead and give you a spoiler alert. MJF, Adam Cole win the match and go all the way to the main event. To build it up, Howie, even more, they've got to beat Aussie Open.
Jeremy?
I've got mixed feelings on this. I mean, it's, they're already going to be in the main event for the AEW title. This has to be a part of the plot twist. However, I will say this: I do like Aussie Open as a tag team.
I love it.
I think they're very skilled. You've got the big man. Davis is the big man, the power, and I mean, it's just I don't know. I kind of root for them to win the titles because I feel like they should have a title, Aussie Open. But I'm with you. I think that MJF and Adam Cole may win those titles, and we'll be holding our breath for the championship match.
Or it's too easy, Tony Khan, to just turn them in that match.
Yeah.
If you want to create an incredible swerve of like somehow Adam Cole accidentally hits MJF, or hey, we got a major star appearing here, I wouldn't seeing CM Punk somewhere along the way and it maybe interfere or involved in this.
Yeah, so here's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Randall. So here's something we have to remember, and everybody's anticipating that nothing has to happen in this pay-per-view or in this event. They could win both titles, or they could win the AEW tag team titles, and MJF could retain, or Adam Cole could win the title. It keeps this thing going because you got to remember the week following next week is another event, another pay-per-view event. What is that? All Out? Is it All Out? Yeah. So there's a lot of things that can happen here. I assume because of the large crowd, this is a first time ever. They're going to throw something crazy in there. I think you have to have just my thoughts on it, baby.
All right, we'll move on to the next match. We got FTR versus Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Jeremy, I'll let you start off.
All I've got to say is I'm assuming that the Young Bucks will go over, and I hate that idea. FTR is the best tag team in AEW by far. They've not gotten the type of run or attention that I think they deserve. There's not enough shine on that AEW tag team championship. There's plenty of tag team contenders. We're still not really doing. They're wrestling trios with CM Punk, which is not a bad thing, but I want to see FTR retain. Now there is a question, as you guys know, over the past week that Cash turned himself in, got an assault charge pending. From what I hear, it's bogus. So does that affect what Tony does booking going forward? Does it affect, is he, if he was going to keep the title on FTR, does that change his mind? Who knows? But from all accounts, the charge and the accusation, which is what it amounted to from what I read, is an accusation of Cash pointing a weapon at a driver. Who knows? It's just an accusation. So I don't know. I just don't want the Young Bucks to win. I'm gonna just say it, Randall.
Well, I'm gonna hurt your heart here for just a second. I think this was a sure FTR win up until the arrest, and I do think the arrest. So if you're Tony Khan, the last thing you want is one of your champions. At first, there was some, even if he could travel to England, and he was allowed. If you're going to have, if you believe there's legal trouble coming that could cost you potentially FDR on some big shows, you got to take the titles off of them.
Yeah.
If it's one of those things where he's going to go to the grand jury and it may be a year and a half before this gets settled, I think the plan was they're moving more and more to a faction with Punk, and it's almost becoming a faction. And I think that's what the goal was, is to have a little faction of the Punk and FDR.
You said the word faction. Too many factions in AEW.
Well, I don't know if it's a faction as much as it's all the championships on 3 people,
Yeah.
I think FTR retains, but unlike my esteemed co-host over there, I think the Young Bucks put on a show like nobody's business the whole night. So I'm going to say this one steals the show a little bit.
Jeremy's deleting them over here.
He's just
He's anti.
Listen, maybe it's because I've been listening to Cornette. Y'all got me on Cornette. At least maybe it's because I'm listening to Cornette too much. I don't know. But you guys know for a fact I did not like the Young Bucks before I ever started listening to Cornette on a weekly basis. So I want to state that fact.
Now, Cornette,
I did not like.
Don't he? He makes sense on what he says about them, don't he?
Yeah, he makes sense. He makes complete sense to me. Other things not so much, but that I think he's right on. I don't know what it is about those guys. I think they're babies. I think they're EVPs, and they have no business being an EVP. They need to be a talent. They're the reason that Cody's gone. And let's see, they're the reason you got this issue within the locker room now. There's a number of things, and I've changed my stance on CM Punk. I said months ago, I said they don't need him, and it just cut him loose. I've changed my stance. I don't think I was right in that. I think that they've signed the Young Bucks to a long contract, but they are trouble and they're drama. I've worked with people that it doesn't matter what you do, they're going to be an issue all the time, and that's those 2 guys. I'm saying it, dadgummit. I hope they hear it.
All right, let's move on for Jeremy's blood pressure.
Just going to say, there is without the Bucks and Kenny Omega, and we'll just move on.
All right, move on. We got the 4-way match for the AEW Women's Championship. You got Hikaru, Shida, Toni Storm, Saraya, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Randy.
Got to pop the crowd here. Even though the betting odds has Shida retaining the title, I think you have got to pop the English crowd, and you've got to hang that title on Saraya. And she would be such a baby face in England. Or you put it back on Toni Storm. Now, the only question I have, now I see Jeremy reaching over there struggling with it. Would Britt Baker still be the biggest baby face even in Saraya and Toni Storm's home country, I have some question whether which one would pop the crowd. But come on,
No.
in my head, you've got to cheap pop the crowd. Put the title on formerly known as Paige Saraya, and just let the crowd go nuts for a few minutes.
I'm going to be, look, I guess I'm ornery today, but she has no business being in this match. Should she be on the card? Should she have a match? Yes. She's been a part of a faction that is nothing. Toni Storm, the best thing they could have done was get her away from her and Ruby Soho. And yes, she needs to be on a match. She needs to be in a high-profile match, and she needs to win. I think that's a no-brainer. That crowd will go nuts, no doubt. But to put the world title on her, no, I don't think so. Britt Baker, they shouldn't be they're still inserting her, but they're not doing anything with her. They insert her in all these angles. I think it should be a two women match. Shida, Toni Storm. I think Toni Storm should regain the title. Is what I think, and I love Shida. But I think Toni Storm is a star.
You think it should be a rematch of their last match where Shida beat Storm?
Yes. I think it should be a rematch, some kind of stipulation, whatever. Yeah. That's just me, though.
This is, I actually would probably prefer that too. Yeah. What I'd really like to see was a mixed tag team match with Saraya and her brother, Zach Zodiac, who's never been on the national stage. And
I would go for that.
This is another prime opportunity for a big pop run-in with Zach Zodiac, who has been in the English independent circuit for decades. So if Saraya wins, look for family interference.
Yeah. Well, look, Saraya, Britt Baker in a match on their own, yes, I'm all for it. If I don't like the four-way match, listen, the women in AEW are not good enough for a four-way match. Well, there's too much timing and all the things that go into having a good-looking four-way match. I just don't.
The most capable wrestler in this four-way match is not in it. And I will say to the very end that Chris Statlander
I agree.
Match is
I agree.
Hurts the credibility of this match. And not only
and Chris Statlander to me, it's been my favorite female wrestler in AEW. She's had some injuries and it's took her away, but she's athletic, she's strong. I like that she's come back with a kind of a different angle on that gimmick, and it's not as corny and cheesy as it was. But I still think the title needs to go back to Toni Storm, even in this match.
I got two things to say real quick. One of them, Jeremy's in an upset mood because he don't have no home cooking this week.
You may be true. You may be right.
He got on a RiverCity-Media shirt that I've never seen.
I noticed that.
I have never. I own RiverCity-Media, and I've never seen that shirt.
Nice.
I know. Then the second thing is, Jeremy, you brought up a point about the women, Britt Baker not being used like she should be. What woman in AEW has been used like they should be?
I don't know. I mean, really, I know it's almost like it's and WWE was the same way for a while. It's almost like the women's division is an afterthought. And yes, granted, their skill level compared to WWE women's division is not even the same. WWE women's division is hands down. I'm talking about all the way through NXT. However, you do have some bright spots in this AEW women's roster, and I put Chris Statlander up there first. I'm with Randall. Shida has been a solid performer. I don't think she's just great, but she's always been solid. Toni Storm is a star. I'll put Toni Storm above Britt Baker.
I'm going to stick up for the Native Beast is one of the best workers in that division.
I mean, position her as an unstoppable force. I think a couple others. I think Willow Nightingale's not a bad worker. I think she's good. Sky Blue. Sky Blue gets my vote also. You know, I think she performs well. They put her, for her not to. These ladies don't have the type of training and that the women of the WWE. They've honed their craft probably on their own. Probably don't get the reps even.
Well, they just shipped her off to ROH, and that was Athena. I thought she was a good.
I was about to say that, Howie, and I've heard that Athena is doing. I haven't watched any of the ROH programming, but Athena is a very talented wrestler, and I've heard she's been doing really well with that ROH title. So
I'm not much about giving y'all fire with the Elite, but I'm going to give you some here. You've got someone that's not a booker booking the women's division, and I think that hurts them because King Omega has to book the women's division for much of the AEW run.
Yeah, well,
he tried to make stars of some of the Gaiji girls like Rio and Shida. Really just hasn't took Shida. But Shida, like, if you look at Shida, she kick your butt,
Yeah. So something that I think would help Shida, and she's worked on her English, right? And I think we've all, but something that they did, and I'm not going to shift gears completely, but I love what they did on SmackDown for Shinsuke Nakamura the other night, or was that Raw? It was Raw.
Raw.
The video segment that they did with him talking, and they had the subtitles. How did it take them this long to figure out that they could do that? It was fantastic. I think they should take note. I think Shida can talk.
I'm going to step on a lot of toes right here, but they couldn't have done that in the past because a lot of wrestling fans couldn't read.
Well, you may have a point.
I told you I was going to step on some toes.
I've been able to read since I was in kindergarten, so I'm good. It was not me, so I'm fine.
If you watch New Japan Wrestling, a lot of the interviews are in English.
Yep.
But why? I get it.
Look, at the end of the day, for the women's division, like behind what they do. It's like week to week. Let's do this. Hey, we'll throw Dr. Britt Baker in a 3-way here and make it a 4-way. Or I just don't.
Moving on.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is a PG-13 podcast, so
let's move on. Yeah, we're moving on. Darby Allin Sting versus the Mogul Embassy, AR Fox and Swerve Strickland in a coffin match. It shouldn't take but a second to describe this. So, Jeremy, go ahead and give your 3 words.
The only thing good about this is Sting. I mean, we're watching these legends that are dying. They're leaving us, and we know what they meant to us. And Sting is still in the ring. So anytime you can see Sting in the ring performing, I think is a good thing. However, the rest of this is trash. The Mogul affiliate embassy, whatever it is, look, I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan. But Sting in the ring, that crowd will go nuts. And you'll feel it watching it on pay-per-view. That crowd will lose it when Sting makes his entrance.
So I kind of agree, but don't disagree with, or agree and don't agree with Jeremy. I think this is a squash match on a pay-per-view. And you use the mobile embassy and AR Fox. Swerve Strickland is not going to take the pin. AR Fox is going to take the ending of it. And you are there to get a huge pop out of King and Darby Allin, who will get a huge pop. So if you look at this as a mid-card filler so that you could get a pop out of the vet, I get it. I don't particularly like the matchup. You know what I'd like to see?
Oh.
I thought about this today. I would have really liked to see Swerve Strickland and AR Fox against Goldust and Keith Lee, and some kind of a steel cage I quit match or something. So but this is there for this is there to get Sting a pop.
Yeah. Hey, and you know what? Like I said, Sting's the best thing in my opinion about this a match. But I hope they fool us on all of them. Any of these, I hope the ladies fool us. I hope it's the best 4-way women's match we've ever seen in our lives. I want them all to succeed, but this is just how I feel about it. I mean, I like AR Fox. I think he's athletic. He and Darby may be doing some crazy stuff. For sure. We know Darby's going to do crazy stuff in this match.
What's the only suspense about this match is Shivani's "It Sting" longer than 15 seconds? That's it.
Yes. There may be a Las Vegas betting line on that. There may be
on 15 seconds right now. I'll call.
Yeah. It's going to be a crazy match.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the 6-man tag team match. You got the Golden Elite, which is Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page versus Takeshita and the Bullet Club, which is Juice Robinson and Jay White. We'll start with Randy
first, so I can get this one out there. I see Hater over there going to go Hater on us.
This is home cooking. He ain't got no home cooking this week.
This is.
I have, by the way, but yeah.
6 of the greatest talents of New Japan Wrestling. They're all familiar with each other. They have worked together. I suspect you're going to see a show in this match. Hangman, we all know what we think. I think of Hangman. Kenny Omega, we all know what we think. I think of Kenny Omega. Kota Ibushi is Kota Ibushi. But I think the talent, I'm not sure the talent level on the other side of the ring isn't better. I love Jay White, just a character. I don't know about Takeshita. Yeah, the other one. Takeshita. Ever since you told me the name actually spells, I can't say it without saying it. I think this is going to be a good match. I think this is going to be one of the time eaters of this match. I expect 25 minutes out of this match.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now Jeremy can tell us how he's going to get popcorn.
Well, no, I'm not going to say that. The only problem I have with this, I think it's going to be a good match. You got too much talent in the ring. But there's no continuity in story of any kind of. I mean, because look, I get Hangman, I get Kenny, I get Kota Ibushi, I get Juice Robinson, I get Jay White being together. But the last time I remember, Takeshita was associated with Blackpool, and now we've inserted him in here with Jay White with the Golden Elite. Hey, he's Japanese. We'll throw him in there. I don't like it. I like Takeshita. I think he's he's talented, but I just don't like the continuity. It's just like, hey, we need a partner for this. Yeah, Takeshita, we'll get him.
I think it was a bad decision. I think that spot should belong to Will Ospreay. We're about to talk about what Will Ospreay is going to do, but I would have rather see Takeshita versus Chris Jericho with the Don Callis element than I would Will Ospreay. The Will Ospreay end of it to me feels like it was rushed and just thrown together. Even it's like they at the last minute decided they had to get Will Ospreay a match.
No, I think they decided they need to get Chris Jericho a match. That's what I think. I mean,
and true, but he is Chris Jericho.
He is Chris Jericho.
And he is walking to the ring as we speak right now to sign his contract against Will Ospreay.
Yeah. Well, all I know is I hope Jericho gets the forearms that kid on that video that was floating around of Ospreay, where he pounded that guy's head in the mat with his forearm. I hope Jericho gets a couple of those.
I think they close the night, boys. That match could possibly close the night in my head.
I'm not going to disagree.
Let's go back. We'll get to that here in a second. Next, we got the Stadium Stampede match.
Now, I hate this. Think of it. The first one was kind of cool during COVID. The whole idea during COVID, was kind of cute, kind of funny. Then we've done it 4 times. This is the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Let's get everybody a check match.
Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say who's in it because they don't even know who all is going to be in it.
So
we do know Eddie Kingston's in it, Orange Cassidy's in it, John Moxley's in it. So we know there's going to be some blood.
He'll be bleeding when he walks out.
Would you
I would. So look, I get everybody gets a check. I get that. Everybody gets to be on the big show. But look, the only thing I think it's going to be okay. I'll be okay with it. I've seen Trent and Chuck in those parking lot brawl, couple of those that I thought was very good. I thought they were good, to be honest with you. Eddie, I think Eddie's not utilized well. I think Eddie should be in world title contention just because he can talk, and he's to me he's a underdog that people could root for. To me, he's an underdog. But the thing that will say, all right, Claudio, he's a world champion. What's he doing in a throwaway match to get him time? What are we doing? What are we doing there?
I'm going to put one proposal in front of you that will change your opinion.
Now, I know where you're going.
Do you?
Go ahead. I think I do. Go ahead.
The surprise tag team that joins them is Pride and Prejudice. Santino and Ortiz. I think that saved it for me because we haven't seen them in over a year. And then you get Kingston on the other side of the ring, which was their mentor. That does add I can book it better, but it would add a little element of to it to me.
But that's only 5 though.
I heard them two didn't get along and they didn't want to be a tag team no more, but I don't know.
Ortiz has been hurt.
Yeah.
It's just here, so
So the other thing is that only adds up to 5.
Okay.
5.
Well, very much out for this right now. So I think it could end up being 5 because Phoenix the internet was saying Phoenix has not traveled to London as of yet.
That's true. So I don't know.
What if the 6th is you think you know me?
Oh no, that's not happening. That's not gonna happen. Hey, I will say this. One last run. Edge and Christian.
It's coming.
With the Hardys. One last run.
It's going to be a little longer than that from what I heard.
If you can get, I know Devon's had trouble, but if you could get one match with Bully Ray and Devon in there, I'm all in on it.
How about FTR? How about Scissor me.
Hey, look, you put Edge and Christian together, or in this situation, it'll be Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. I'm in. So I'm an Edge fan, man. I love him. I was so glad I got to see that the other night, considering that might be his last WWE match. They missed the boat. I'm hyped up tonight, guys. Y'all have to tell me shut up, but they missed the boat on merch because he came out in that white and blue in Toronto, and I immediately went to the shop because I said if they have a white and blue Edge shirt on there, it is mine tonight. And I go on there, nothing.
Also, the color of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. I love Edge.
I think they're either going to be Pride and Prejudice back. There's going to be a surprise here.
It should be a surprise. That's what I was about to say. What will save this match for me will be the surprise of who the other 3 or 2 are.
And it's probably recording tonight.
Let me reel y'all back in. Stadium Stampede. We know who's going to take the pin more than likely. It's either going to be Wheeler Yuta, or it's going to be one of the best friends, Chuck or Trent.
Chuck.
You know one of those two is going to take the pin, or one of those 3 is going to take the pin.
As Arn Anderson says, I'm here to take Dusty Rhodes' elbow and fall down. That's my job.
That's right.
So we'll move along to the next match, which is Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho, just a singles match. It could be a show stealer, but I expect some interference from Don Callis. So your thoughts, Jeremy?
No, I really do. I was joking a little bit. I really do think this will be a good match because I think Will Ospreay is phenomenal. I've not watched a match with Will Ospreay that hasn't been good, very good. I'm not Dave Meltzer. I'm not that high on Japanese talent but he's always been great. And Jericho, for his age, he can still work. So Randall's holding up the fingers. It will at least be an 18-star match. I mean, Meltzer scale, 18.5 stars, really easy. Not 19, 18.5.
Got to throw in that. You got to throw in that half star, huh?
Maybe even 3/4. I don't know.
A little
wrong way. Go ahead, Randy.
I'm going to throw out almost the same suggestion that Jeremy did earlier. I think they want Chris Jericho. By the way, Fozzy performing live, Judas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Jericho's starting to diminish a little bit. And I'm not. Yeah. I love Chris Jericho, but Chris Jericho, or 4 or 5 years ago when he was working with Akacha and Tenzanai and the guys in Japan, is not the. Look, Chris Jericho's in his 50s. Not his, he's not. We talk about Sting's age, but let me just throw this out. Jericho was on Monday Night Nitro with Sting at this time. So
that's nuts.
I mean, there's still 3 guys very active in the world of wrestling that was appearing on Nitro, and that was Sting, Rey Mysterio, and Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
So if you want to make Chris Jericho look like $1 billion, like he's made everybody look in his life, you give him exactly who you gave him. And if you want to pop the crowd, Will Ospreay beat the legend.
Yes.
No more legendary wrestler in the sport right now, to me, than Chris Jericho. 6-time WWE champion.
Yep.
First AEW champion. You want to pop that crowd, you put Ospreay, and I think he will go clean over Jericho.
I agree. If he doesn't, I'll be highly upset because I completely agree with you. Now, I will say this. I think the thing that's going to be great about this match is, number one, I think it'll be very good. I think Ospreay goes over. I think the crowd goes nuts. I think that when if Fozzy is playing Judas, is that correct? They're playing
Yeah.
as he's entering the ring, and that crowd starts to sing of 80,000, and they will. It will be electric.
I got
You
goosebumps.
know it will. I did too. Just saying, it will be that. So if for us critics, and I've been critical tonight, that's going to be a great moment for any wrestling fan. If you just take, like what Jericho used to say, drink it in, man. Just take it in. It's going to be a great moment.
I was watching. I'm listening to y'all watching AEW, and they were in the ring with the contract signing with Ospreay and Jericho. And of course, they tried to collide, but they actually had to pull apart to where neither one of them got to each other. How often do you see that in wrestling? Usually, they
Right.
do get to each other. But this time, security kept them apart. So
I like it.
If Ospreay is a permanent member of the AEW roster, that does a lot for AEW.
It does.
Could Jericho be passing the torch over to Ospreay to be one of the best in Japan and the States?
I think there's some moment of passing the torch here. I do, and I have that in my notes. This is a pass the torch moment of Chris Jericho's bigger than wrestling.
Yeah.
So you're putting him over. I think when we sit down and someday do a Chris Jericho tribute, and we all start adding up the championships and the places he was and what he did, it's almost shocking. He was like 8 times Intercontinental champion.
Yeah.
There's just some, and you forget about those great tag teams, Jericho.
Yeah, that was a great tag team.
Jericho and The Miz. Just some different things they did with him. So,
my favorite, the gimmick with the list, that was one of my favorite. The things he was able to create it was just amazing.
He created a rivalry with Bill Goldberg when it wasn't booked.
Right.
So, and while I'm throwing out names, that's another one that I think could show up.
Now there's a twist.
And if he's going to show up, it might be here.
The plot thickens.
They've only got 10 matches listed, so they could add a lot more. Because their pay-per-views are at least 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to see Jeff Jarrett, and I think Jeff Jarrett's going to be in a prominent spot in this before it's over with.
Have we lost Jeremy?
Double J.
We have lost him.
JERMEY. JOHN. Son. Jeremy Johnson.
He'll be back with us here in a second. You in Savannah and you got bad internet like this, Jeremy? What's going on?
Hang on. Unbelievable.
Hey, I just gave you the Jeff Jarrett, the JERMEYJO.
Test.
Can you hear us?
Test 1 2.
We hear you.
Can you hear us, Jeremy? You can't hear us. Jeremy's spinning around everywhere. You spinning around everywhere too, Randy. Y'all making me dizzy.
Think we lost him.
Now let's jump to tonight real quick. What's your thoughts on them having separate interviews with Adam Cole and MJF tonight?
I like that. Keep them apart. Let's find out what's going to happen Saturday.
They've got sit down interviews with Renee Paquette tonight. Each one of them does.
One of the better, and I'm not saying this because she's a beautiful lady. Of course, John Moxley's live. But God, has she added a lot to AEW. And her backstage segments are some of my favorite segments of the show now. You know, there for a while they had Mark Henry doing it. They had different people. When they put that professional interviewer back there, it's great. You know, I'd be interested before we go on if Jeremy can hear us. Can you hear us, Jeremy? Jeremy, can you hear us? Jeremy Johnson, Jeremy.
There he is.
We,
Jeremy, hear us on audio.
The Young Bucks are the greatest tag team ever, Jeremy. The Young Bucks are Jeremy Johnson's favorite tag team. He has a Matt and Nick Jackson tattoo on his right shoulder blade. On his left shoulder is, you don't know what kicking is till you've been super kicked. Partied.
Sound like you just threw something down.
Jeremy Johnson is the greatest Young Bucks fan in the history of the free world. That felt good.
Did you say he's the president of the fan club?
Jeremy Johnson, president of Matt and Nick Jackson's fan club. They call it the J Club. Jackson, and Johnson.
Triple J.
Triple J. I got to hear. He is going to beat me when he hears this. Hey, let's make it a little bird. He told me, don't ever say it on the show, but Kenny Omega, I love him. When he shakes the ropes like the Ultimate Warrior, it just makes me sweat.
You better hope he don't go back and watch this. Even you fell down now. Is he still on?
No, he's not. He's coming back. Hold on. Yeah, Howie, I agree with you. I do think the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are overrated. I can't understand how somebody could like the Young Bucks.
Finally.
Jeremy, you hear us?
Yes.
All right.
I don't know. Look, I don't know. You never know when you go on the road. Internet.
Yes. Let me make a suggestion as a friend. Don't go back and listen to the last 5 to 8 minutes of this show.
Look, you know what? You know what I think about that?
What's that?
It doesn't matter what I think. You said it. You said it. That's all right.
Hey,
whatever it was, I disagree
you're not gonna,
at a high level. Whatever you said, I disagree.
you're not going to show us you don't know what a real party is until you've had a super kick party tattoo.
Yeah, I ain't getting one of those.
I heard you already.
No, it's not that.
Let's move on real quick before we lose Jeremy again.
Yeah.
Y'all got to pick. Who'd y'all take? Ospreay or Jericho?
Ospreay.
Yeah, I'm with Randall on that. Ospreay.
All right, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe for the singles. It's a singles match for the real world championship. All right, Jeremy, kick us off.
So I really I actually somewhat like this angle. I like how Punk came back, had that title in the bag. I do like that. I do. I really like where they're going with this. I like the matchup, period. Samoa Joe, CM Punk. I would have rather saw the Golden Vampire versus Samoa Joe at Wembley, but we're not going to get that. Maybe the Midnight Rider. Maybe the Midnight Rider.
To keep from hiding. on to keep on riding.
Or maybe the Black Scorpion. Maybe the Black Scorpion.
And I've got one more silver.
Oh man, I do like the match. I think it's gonna be a great match. I think Samoa Joe needs a world title of some kind. Needs a run.
Hey, Howie, what's
I
this?
thought he had Ring of Honor title. Does he not?
TV champion.
TV. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the title. He's running with it.
It is. But for me, go back WWE. I think he should have been a legit contender.
Right. He was just misused in WWE from
Brock Lesnar, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Randy.
2 weeks. MJF versus CM Punk for the real AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And can't let this get in the way. So I think this is the pay-per-view stealer here. This is off the chain. This is 30 minutes. This is physical. It's tough. But CM Punk has to go over.
Yeah.
Keep the storyline going where we're going to go, knowing that in 2 weeks we got to fill out another arena.
Yeah.
And if you didn't use MJF versus CM Punk here, then you got to use it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And you know, that also tells us who the winner of Adam Cole and MJF will be. Baby.
You know, the one thing they got going for them in 2 weeks is the StarCast is going to be up there as well. So that's a lot of wrestling. So they shouldn't have no trouble as far as selling that place out.
No.
All right, let's move on to our main event, which is MJF versus Adam Cole for the AEW World Championship.
Well,
we've already talked about these two one time before tonight, but let's go ahead and talk about them again. Randy, kick us off.
Got to have the full-fledged heel turn in this match. I don't know how you come out with them still best buddies at the end of this match, unless you're just going to make MJF that great. The one name that I'm going to throw out to you, there's two things that could happen. Edge or Jay Fatu, formerly Jay Uso, cannot appear. But what if you got a video package that alludes to Edge? Someone in brightly colored trunks walking towards an AEW logo. Or you have a Polynesian themed promo that you just don't show anybody's face.
Where are you bringing Jay in at from?
Did he not?
That's a work. That's a work.
Not a work. He's on MLW right now.
What?
This is not a work. They fired his wife. He's gone.
Ah, that's news to me.
Him and his cousin, hold on. It could be a work still. Here's what I've been told. Jacob Fatu and him are planning on doing something together. I don't think it's a work. I really think it's out.
Really?
I mean, usually if they come blatantly out, say I quit, like, i.e. Batista, you think, it's fake, but that Batista was real. Then when he quit,
I think we're underestimating what happened with his wife. So, but either way,
that was years ago, though.
Huh?
That was years ago.
When Sasha Banks left.
Yeah, that's like last
year ago.
Well, that's last year sometime.
All I'm getting at, and it doesn't matter who it is, and I just threw his name out there because I don't watch the WWF. I just know what I read, and I thought I thought it was legit because there's a lot of talk about him and Jacob Fatu doing something. if you got a big surprise and you can't spoil it, being Edge or being a non-worked Fatu family member, or you're bringing somebody from Japan like a Okada or somebody really, really big name.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not got to debut it somewhere in this main event? Because I mean, is there enough storyline with the storyline out there that it's going to pop 85,000 people if MJF pins Adam Cole?
What if Adam Cole turns on MJF? Everybody's expecting MJF to turn on Cole. What if it's the other way around?
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's worth.
And I know this, we're getting out there, but we just talked about CM Punk, MJF, and what if does CM Punk interfere? Does he does he come out in some form or another? I don't know.
What if three-way Adam Cole, MJF, CM Punk? I'm just saying, I've thought about it, and the reason I brought up my outrageous speculation is I don't think MJF beating Adam Cole in the last match in front of 85,000 people is going to pop. I think Adam Cole possibly turning on MJF might pop the crowd, but just MJF beating Adam Cole, I don't see it.
I see, I don't know what, I have no clue, but I'm with you. I see there being something shady, for lack of a better term, happening in that match. I don't completely agree with you on just a straight victory by one or the other is going to pop the crowd. I think it will. I think they're going to have. They will have had a good night. They will have drunk several Guinnesses, and they will be feeling fine. And so anything at that point will pop the crowd. But I think something's going to happen.
It's going to be hard to pop the crowd once they've already saw them once at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Something has got to happen
Mm-hmm.
that puts mystery in our head
for the next week.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that. And if you're smart, that's what you're shooting for. You want people to come right back the next week and buy that pay-per-view to see what happens.
So I think we would all agree there's an opportunity for very bad booking here.
What? AEW?
What? Okay. I think somebody should bleed. I don't know what should happen, but somebody should bleed.
Let me throw a name out to you real quick on that main event that may have something to do with it. Someone that hasn't been around in a few weeks that's about ready, about clear to come back. Bryan Danielson.
So according to the little rumor sheet on the AEW fan site I read, he is home. So something's got to happen, boys. I don't know what got to happen.
I don't know.
I'll tell you this much. If that match takes place and nothing happens, you're going to have 1 million people disappointed.
Unless you don't put it on last. That's the reason I said earlier, there's an opportunity to put Jericho and Will Ospreay and let that play out and then come back and Will Ospreay in England is Hulk Hogan in America in the
oh wow.
I mean, they sold 80,000 seats, and I think a lot of them was for Will Ospreay.
But it's one of those deals that something's got to happen. But if nothing happens, you're gonna have a lot of upset people, and they've already said that's the main event. So you would assume it would go on last.
Yeah, something's going to happen. again, I have no clue either, but something. I agree.
So, what if I'm gonna play what if? To me, this is the most important card in AEW history.
There's your pencil to book with. Go at it.
Hey, I could book better than some Vince McMahon could any day. That man done more. That man has single-handedly kept AEW in talent by running off talent from the WWE.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Vince McMahon. Triple H, you should be running the company, and I would love it. So let's take a Vince McMahon, Tony Khan, bad booking approach. Your champ wins, and he's a heel.
But is he a heel now?
He's a heel.
I don't think he's a heel right now. I think people are really responding to this bromance or whatever we're going to call it with him and Adam Cole.
So you're proposing that they could have a John Cena, Let's Go Cole, MJF.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
I think that works beautifully. I just didn't expect that.
No, I think it would work. But you know,
that's why I say, what if Cole turns on MJF?
Mm-hmm.
Cole becomes a heel. MJF is the face.
Britt Baker involved.
Yeah,
Good. Roger Strong comes down there and helps Adam Cole.
Here's the more, to me, the $1 million question. Which one of those guys can carry the company? And I'm with a lot of what Jeremy has said in the past. If Adam Cole had 15 pounds, he could run that company. He could be Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Best worker in the business when it comes to just being that heel.
Mm-hmm.
But MJF's the only guy that can run that company.
Between the two, yeah. I think there's others, but I don't think Cole. Man, look. I know people criticize him, and I guess I sound like everybody else. With what they have available, it would not be that hard unless he has some kind of physical condition that we're not privy to. Whatever. I know he's had some illness and some different stuff. It's not that hard for an athlete like Adam Cole to put on 15 pounds of muscle. It's not that hard. I'm just saying it's not. And look, it's not that hard.
Him and Britt Baker may be exercising a lot, and he can't gain it.
PG-13.
He's up on his cardio. We do know that. But no, and again, I'm not. Look, there may be things that we don't know anything about, but I know, and I am by no means the picture of a fine physique. But when I decided that I want
the best one on here, so
well, when I decided at 150 pounds that I needed to gain some weight and I wanted to put on some muscle, I was able to do that. And I knew nothing about the gym, and I was able to do that. And now, God help, I put on way more than that, and it ain't all muscle. But what I'm saying is, I don't know. Everybody's metabolism different, so I guess I'm getting way out, But I just feel like if he would do that and go to the tanning bed a little bit to change that look, he would look more like a champion because he's not a big guy. He's not tall in stature. He needs to accent what he can.
I got to dispute how Shaney said about me and Dusty Rhodes' American Dream not having an athletic body. I may look like the athlete of 1975. My butt may be a little too big and my belly may be but I am bad. Don't ever forget it. Howie Cheney. I am bad. You and the horseman about to find out how bad the American Dream Thunder Road is. Yeah, egg.
All right.
You are
You-
bad, but not in a good way.
You know what? Again.
What?
I'll take my shirt off again to keep talking.
No, don't.
All right. I got
That would go from PG-13 up a notch if we start taking shirts off.
It's a serious question. Are you disappointed by some people who aren't on the card? And I'm going to give you some example. One of people in wrestling right now is Big Bill to me. He is prominently featured in their advertisement and on TV. Not a shot. Jay, why did I blank on Jay's last name?
Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal.
Hey, Lethal.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett, not on the show. Does
Statlander
not have enough faces to get all these quality? And that's what I think part of the struggle with is AEW, is they really don't have any faces, but they have a locker room full of heels. You know, and they don't have that.
And they have really good heels that can play the true heel role, whereas WWE, that's been one of their big issues. You just don't really have heels. A real.
Yeah, I'm with you. The most disappointing though to me, no Mark Briscoe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
How can what a way to honor Jay Briscoe by having his brother in a match on this show. So that's
I wish they were.
Well, who's to say that they're not going to be on the pre-show? I mean, there's only one match announced for the pre-show, and I think their last pay-per-view they had 4, 5 matches on the pre-show.
In my mind, Mark Briscoe deserves better than the pre-show, but I would be happy to see him in the pre-show.
Well, they could take the rest of the roster and put them in a big battle royal, and that's what everybody else does.
Casino Battle Royal. Look, I love AEW, but they come up with some dumb ideals. Dustin Rhodes is not on this card.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of your household names, you know?
Yeah.
Keith Lee. Miro is not on this card.
Oh, man. Miro
versus Big Bill on this card.
Well, if you think about it, there's not a whole lot of the Collision talent that's on this card.
True.
Punk and FTR is the only two from Collision that is on the card.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I'm getting the pay-per-view. Anybody's welcome over to my house. But I do expect to see plenty of Young Bucks and Kenny Omega merchandise if you're entering the Cunningham residence that night. And Jeremy, you're accepted because I know of your 2 Young Bucks tattoos. So
do I need to show? No.
Well, where you got that one Matt Jackson tattoo, I don't think you can show on the show.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, but I'm excited. Look, I was about out of wrestling. I got where I just forced myself to cut the WWE on every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be 80,000 people at a wrestling show that doesn't have WWE on it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. New Japan has never had 80,000. They get 36, 40,000 Tokyo Dome. I think this may be the largest wrestling crowd since WrestleMania 3, I was reading.
Was it 32?
Maybe 32 in Jury World.
Yeah.
So at worst, this is a top 5 crowd in wrestling.
Yeah. So, it's fantastic. It's good for wrestling fans, real fans that just appreciate having all the product and stuff to watch. And we can critique it and all that. At the end of the day, I still watch it because it just makes me laugh. It makes me feel a certain way. I feel like a kid again. But you've got people out there now that are already starting to talk about, well, what can they do? Can they top this? Can they maintain? What are we talking? What kind of fan are you or critic are you that you're already we're not even done. It's not even in the books. You're already talking about, well, they probably can't do that again. Well, who knows?
You can't convince me a combined AEW Japan show in Japan couldn't do 50,000, 60,000.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's gonna be great, man. Even if the matches stink, and they won't, the entrances and the pop and the crowds rolling at this pay-per-view is gonna make it It's gonna make it awesome.
There's one great storyline that nobody can figure out, which is the MJF Adam Cole storyline, and that's much Zayn KO was with the Usos in the first night of WrestleMania. The first night of WrestleMania is the best night of wrestling that's happened in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So this has the potential to be, for Tony Khan, I hope he realizes this can make or break his company on the how big do you want it to be. If this is, and I hope they don't skip on fireworks. I hope they don't skimp on lights. I hope they don't skim on nothing. The world is expecting a WrestleMania level show. If you make $0 on this show, give it to them, Tony. Because if you do set that standard, then when you start to go international or you start to do this annually, people know what to expect. Hey, that stadium better be lit up in fireworks and Videotron 60 foot high. If bring that 10-foot Videotron that we seen in Huntsville,
no.
1,000 people, it's like, people will turn off to the product. This is like the night that they had Allin and sold 10,000 tickets. They had to go out and prove it. This is prove it, boys. So.
Well, they did. They did then, and I think it's going to be a great show. And again, I was Mr. Skeptical and critical here, but it's some of the stuff I don't understand. But at the end of the day, if you just kind of take your critic analytics mind off of it and just kind of hone in on the event itself, I think everybody's going to be satisfied. It's going to be a great event. It'll be something to remember, and hey, who knows? We'll see where it leads. See if that's an annual thing.
No wrestling company outside the WWE. The only one that I can think of that got close to this was at the height of Freebird Von Erich mania. They drew 50,000 people into Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anybody. I can't think of a WCW. Let me take that back. The combined WCW at New Japan show that was in North Korea with 250,000 people. But that's a little circle. That's people living in a communist regime.
They made them come.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about Sturgis? WCW had a pay-per-view in Sturgis.
20-ish, 25,000.
Yeah.
It wasn't huge. And that had Jay Leno and Dennis Rodman on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I got sidetracked for a second because Tony Storm and Sky Blue's on TV.
Well, we got to go. Been nice to see y'all. Hey, on the way, Howie, I've got one more Terry Funk thing I want to play. And I got to say one thing and ask Jeremy to do one thing for us.
Before you do all that, let's go ahead and throw our sponsors up real quick if you don't care. Our sponsors.
I was already looking because this first sponsor is Monday nights at 8 o'clock. Phil Harris, Randall Cunningham with Beyond the Booth. It's your sports show this week. Howie, we really broke into around the area. So go follow River City Media and on Facebook and iTunes down here. Man, we make all this, but follow River City, mark it for notification. Then when Jeremy and Howie and I go live, you know. When Coach Van, Howie, and I go live, you know. When Phil and I go live, you know. Also, we'll get to not a sponsor of this show, but a sponsor of River City Media. Not a Coke product, but try it sometime. When you're not drinking Coke, try. If you will look at River City Media, there's a link. There's a link to that site, and it does help us here at River City Media if you want to try some different alternative stuff. Also, Howie, where did you get that wonderful shirt?
Hey, if you know the right people, you can get what you need.
Okay. Can that person make us some to sell?
I'm sure they could.
All right. Well, here's the real only sponsor we have.
Wilburn's Waxing Solutions. Licensed and insured. Call for a free estimate. Tell them we sent you. He probably won't know what you're talking about, but tell him anyway. Wilburn's Waxing Solution, 256-996-9731.
And the Atlanta Falcons, where you can see this beautiful young lady on the sidelines.
Yep. Saw her Friday night.
Yeah.
So, all right, Randy, you going to take us out with some
I'm gonna let y'all go real fast, but I want to ask a couple of things. Can you give us your favorite Terry Funk memory, and can JJ give us just one last 15 seconds of my brother Dory, please? And then,
my favorite Terry Funk moment was when he came to WWE as a Chainsaw Charlie.
That's
he cut himself out of that crate to start wrestling.
That's different. Jeremy?
And you want my moment?
Yeah, go with your moment. Then give us just one.
It may have changed since the last time, but when he attacked Flair after Flair's match, I think with Steamboat, was that not the case? Yeah. It started that feud. I think that was a fantastic moment that started off another series of matches there with him and Flair. But it wasn't like the good old days when me and my brother Dory spent the time in Japan kicking all the asses in Japan. We were gods there. Unlike you poor egg-sucking dogs here on this podcast. You egg-sucking dogs. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry.
Terry Funk story, just to get everybody to remember what a character he was. Him and Dory were bad pranksters. And they would play a game like where they slammed their head through the wall. And one of my favorite things was to get into airports and start slamming their heads through the wall. And evidently, Terry did that one night, and the police got after him. And when they were arresting him, he was explaining to him he was Terry Funk. And I think that's the coolest thing in the world. You can't arrest me. I'm Terry Funk. So that's when you know you're famous, when you can do that. Hey, y'all watch this, and then Howie will give us our closing of the night.
Whoa.
Can you imagine Terry Funk and Dory Funk against the Briscoes?
Oh,
That's crazy. And we're not talking about Jack and Jerry.
No.
That would have been great too, by the way.
there's some music behind this, but it's copyrighted, and I don't want to get us stuck down. But behind this is the Eagles Desperado, and I think it's so appropriate for Terry Funk. And that's it, man. That's the short. I ordered about 2 weeks ago. It ain't come yet. Forever Funker, and that's what I am. Boys, I just want to say this, and I thought about it a lot today. Randall's Mount Rushmore,
Mm.
5 greatest of all time, or 4 greatest of all time.
Ooh,
Terry Funk is on it.
man.
Flair, Rhodes, Funk, Stone Cold. That is my Mount Rushmore. Now, The Rock drew more money than anybody alive. But did he really love wrestling? These guys, I think, all just loved wrestling.
Yeah.
They stayed in it for so long they had to.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, I agree with that. Gosh, that's tough one for me. I that's tough.
Yeah, well, I've got, I was kicked off a podcast one time because in their wrestling, they did a thing where they started with 64 wrestlers and one beat one and I refused to let them put Nikita Koloff over Terry Funk, and I got kicked off the show. But close this out, Howie.
You mean you wouldn't do the job?
No, Terry Funk ain't doing no job. Nikita Koloff.
Ain't doing no job in front of 70,000 people.
For Nikita Koloff, you better put somebody that can work for me to do a job.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, for Mr. JJ from Savannah with a little technical difficulties tonight. From the man that makes it possible, QB1, Mr. Graduate of Funk U.
I spelled that right. You have
Funk.
to really
Funk.
much respect.
Yes, Funk U. Funk. I'm the Howie Cheney. Join us next week when you might hear Jeremy Johnson say, I love the Young Bucks.
No way, you bunch of egg-sucking